Hey, I'm Stephen Glosser.
And I'm Megan Pikert.
Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast,
a podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood.
A season that's marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions.
Join us for some real conversations as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life.
We're so glad you're here, and we'd love to have you join our little Going Somewhere podcast community. Follow us on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast and join the conversation.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks for listening. Let's jump into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 83 of the Going Somewhere podcast. How's it going, Megan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for our topic today. It kind of comes out of our episode from last week. We were talking about discipline and doing the hard thing anyways. And today we're going to be talking about kind of a little bit of a new season reset. And we're kind of coming into the school year. We're kind of coming into just a natural transition from summer to fall. And so I think it's a great time to just kind of revisit some of our rhythms. And so we're going to talk through our own personal and kind of invite everybody else into it. But before we jump into the episode, catch me up. What's going on in your life?
Yeah. This past week has been fun. We played the Bible is Funny game the other night, you, me, and Taylor.
If you didn't listen to episode, I think it was like 79 with Anthony Russo, it was fun. He's the creator of the game, The Bible is Funny. And yeah, we play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of similar to apples, you'd say, but with Bible verses and scripture out of context and one-liners, and it was really funny. So we had a blast doing that.
Yeah, so it's like a question, just like a generic question, but then all of the answer cards that you play are like direct quotes from the Bible, which is hilarious. The amount of fact checks that we did was pretty high.
Yeah, but they're all in there.
They're all in there.
That's the surprising thing. They all checked out. So
yeah, like one of my cards was apes and baboons.
Right.
And that was like straight from the NIV. I don't remember where it is, but part of the quote is apes and baboons.
Yeah. One of mine was man with 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand and each foot. And Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, I guess, has some wild stuff going on.
Jeremiah has some good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what else did I do this weekend? I stayed at your guys' house because you were out of town. So I dog sat Kevin, which if you guys don't know, Kevin's my best friend. And I just like dream of the day that...
What's sad is that your best friend's going to die soon, I think.
I know. And we just don't think about it. But because we know
also,
that...
He's 15.
Yeah. And he's a dog. We said that. Okay.
Yeah.
And he is, coming towards the end of a long and great life. But Kevin's not an outside dog, right? He goes outside and comes immediately back inside, doesn't hang out. And I went to let him out, but I had somewhere to be. I was supposed to go to a wedding. And so I was like, I'm going to let him out. I got like 10 minutes to spare. And so I let him outside, and he's just not coming back inside. And I was like, man, what is he doing out there? And so I go out there, and he's rolling around in the grass. I'm like, okay, I'll give him a couple more minutes. Then I go back out there, and he's just sitting, watching the birds, just sitting there enjoying life. And I just had this realization that Kevin doesn't get many more good days. And so we're just going to give him a good day, and we're going to practice patience. And so I sat in the grass with Kevin for like 20 minutes. And he just sat there, and he hung out, and he smelled some fresh air, and it was so sad. And yet I was like, man, I can do one small thing to give him a good day today.
I appreciate that you did that. I don't do that as much as I should. And also, there's times where I'm like, hey, buddy, just stay outside. Like, we'll be out on the deck, and he'll want to go back in. We're like, we're here. Like, just hang out with us. And so, yeah, that's sweet, though. Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was sweet. And yeah, so that was fun. And you guys were out of town because I was house sitting and dog sitting for you guys. So where were you? What were you up to?
We were visiting my family in Bismarck. And so, yeah, we got to just hang out with my family. It was a pretty action-packed weekend. We, had plans kind of throughout, which was kind of fun. We went to the amusement park in Bismarck, which is kind of, it's actually pretty sweet, but it's kind of janky at the same time. But there's like one of those big super slides that you sit on like a carpet and you go really fast. And So the kids love that. There's a little mini roller coaster. There's like the tea kettle or teapot, spinny. Right. I don't do that one. That's not for me, but it was fun. Our kids loved it. We went mini golfing. And then my cousin, they have a pool. And so one of my cousins who we maybe see once or twice a year max, they were all back, and their kids are now like 19, 17, and 15. And so when we were all growing up, I was like them the way that they are to my kids is how I was to them.
Got it.
And so it was so fun to see them interacting with my kids, like in the pool, or just like my kids were just trying to beat up, Summit was trying to like beat them up, and they were just throwing them on the couch and stuff. And I'm like, that's what I did to you guys. So it was really fun to just kind of hang out with them, just have some quality family time, played some games at the house. It was good. It was a good weekend. We really enjoyed, our time at home. It was good.
Mm-hmm. That's so fun.
Yeah. I feel like we're just kind of, as the summer comes, it feels like it's coming to an end. We had the trip to Brainerd. We had a wedding this coming weekend, and then we're going to the cities for a Twins game with Taylor's side of the family. We're just trying to like pack in the last few weeks of summer before the kids start school again. We start school September 2nd in Moorhead. And so we've got a little time left, but at the same time, it's coming really fast. And so we can feel that. So we're really trying to like wrap up summer well and make the most of it and have a lot of fun. And so it's been a good time, but we're also like exhausted. Taylor and I both trying to get out of bed when we want to get out of bed the last week or two has been not great. But it does kind of, as we enter into, a new season. And what I mean by that, because there's some people that don't like the word season, I've learned. Mm-hmm. So this episode's going to suck.
We'll bleep them out every time.
Yeah, we're going to bleep the word season. But it's a natural word. We define summer, fall, spring, winter by that. And so I think the thing that some people don't like about the word season is that we use it for everything. So for this episode, just some boundaries, some ground rules. We're really talking about the change of a season. And for most people, fall or summer to fall is a change of a season. So summer for a lot of people, even if you're working full time, what you do on the weekends is different. How you spend your free time is a little bit different. What you're doing in the evenings is typically different. And so as you kind of come into the fall and it gets a little cooler outside, you a lot changes. Like what was normal for the last 3 months isn't normal anymore. If you have kids or if you are going back to school, you're a college student, like that's a big change too. You went from a lot of freedom and flexibility to, okay, now I have somebody telling me where to go for a majority of my week. And there's things that are told of me, I have to do this by this time. And so there's a big change there. And then also for other people, there is a change of a season. And that's kind of where my angle is. So that's what we're going to talk about is like how those things change and when those change, what that means for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think that, like you said, I feel like this time of year we're coming back into a more regular routine, and we're starting to think through, as crazy as it is, but 2025 is coming to a close. And so how do you want to finish out the rest of the year? And I just think about like we do yearly reflections, and it's going back to those things of, hey, we got like 4 more months to kind of hit some of the goals or some of the things that we wanted to see. And so this just provides a good space. And then for my life personally, I work at a church. And so fall is a huge kickoff. We have Sunday launch. We have, things that our annual rhythms are coming into play right now. And so in order to like keep up with entering into a busy season requires intentionality of planning out how are we going to be able to do this and how are you going to be able to sustain some of these rhythms, looking ahead into something that feels like, holy moly, let's buckle up,
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for it. I think it's coming at a good time for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What's something that you're feeling as we're going from summer to fall?
Yeah. Well, if you can believe it, I feel like people typically think, at least Midwest culture, because we're all lake people, we're lake country people. And so we kind of view summer as maybe more relaxed. You kind of get a little bit more freedom. At least for Fargo, I feel like there's tons of businesses that like work half days on Fridays. But this summer for me was busy. I was full. I don't think I had a single free weekend. I was looking at my calendar over just the last couple months as I was planning out my growth plan of how did this last season of that go. And my first free Saturday, my first free all day thing is this coming Saturday in the last 3 months, where I have no plan on my calendar. And so it was just been a busy season. And so I think I'm coming out of that and realizing, okay, we got to make some changes here, and what rhythms actually sustained through all of that. Entering into looking ahead into the fall is another really busy season. And so what am I going to do now that I kind of had my test run the last couple months of what went well and what needs to change? So honestly, I feel like I'm looking at my growth plan and I'm not feeling too proud of the last couple months, honestly. But I think that's also important to recognize, is that as great as a tool as the growth plan is, you're not going to be perfect in your life. Yeah. And I would be super surprised and would love to hear from you if you can get everything in a green, and that would be amazing. And we'll talk about how to vote on your different areas and stuff. But if you could get every area of your life to be the best that it could be, I'd love to grab coffee with you. Yeah. It's hard, but that's why we do these check-ins, so that, hey, let's reevaluate. And I think that's where I'm at right now, of reevaluating.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, is that sometimes, well, one, I think this growth plan thing, there's been times where I've kind of said it and forget it. So I've maybe done the work, at this point, and then for the next 4 months, I just kind of like almost forget about it and don't think about it. And so that's one thing that I've been trying to do, is incorporate into my rhythm, just like a time where I look at this, and a time where I work on this, or a time that I kind of evaluate this a little bit. And so I think that's something that, as I'm going into this, as I was setting my kind of ideal week, there was some blocks weekly that I was trying to say, like, okay, this is where I actually want to take the time to kind of revisit this and make sure that I'm on track with these things. And so I built in kind of like a weekly, and I've had it in different ways, but like a weekly plan where it's not just like plan my to-dos, but it's also, all right, how am I doing in these areas, especially the ones that I want to focus on, and now what do I need to do this week? So not just like I set it in August, what am I going to do until December? It's like, no, what do I need to do this week? Is one of the rhythms something that I need to put some focus on just for a week here? Just like, okay, I need to get this going again. So that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about. For me, I think this change going into fall, just from a general standpoint, we've got 2 kids going to elementary school. So they're going to be 7:30 to 2:30 every day. And then Rowan is going to be 9:30 to 12:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so we're kind of gearing up for like a bigger change than we've had at this time of the year, because we've always had 2 at home. And so there's going to be some periods of time where all 3 kids are in school or in some sort of activity. And then other times where it's just us and Rowan, which is just a very different experience than having all 3 of them around at once. So kind of sad. Like, summer's been so much fun at our house, and the kids have just been together every day, and it's just been a blast. So that's kind of been like a sad part of it. But also, as I'm going into this, conversation too, there's some things, just like for me, I just changed jobs. With what I'm doing with Valley, I'm still getting my kind of bearings of like what's expected and how to do that job well. And then also with kind of that added flexibility of this time of like, all right, now what do I need to prioritize on? And that's the one thing when we go through kind of a couple things from our plans and stuff, is that like I wanted to give certain areas green, but I'm like, I think I'm doing a lot, but I don't know if I'm doing the right things that are going to move the ball forward. So I have more time to dedicate to writing and to business stuff and to things that have been like background. They get to be foreground now. But now I realize, like, I don't know if I know what I should be doing now, like today, to make it all move forward. There's a lot of things that I can do, but I don't know if those are the right things to do. So that's kind of something that's kind of come up for me, but you kind of talked about it. just from your perspective, kind of heading into the fall with kind of a church calendar, but also, the natural seasonal shifts and stuff. So, anything else that comes to mind for you before we kind of really dive in?
No, I think that was good. I think I agree with a lot of what you said. And so
a lot of it, not all. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, all of it, right?
Yeah.
Everything. I'm excited because I think we can finish well, and it just takes the intentionality to get there. So
yeah, and so for listener, what I want you to do is in the show notes you can get the downloadable, like what we're going to talk about, our growth plan, growth team, ideal week. Like those resources are there for you. You can click them in the show notes, and you can actually look at them and you can work through them. We don't just want to talk about ours. The reason we're talking about ours is to give you kind of a picture of what this can look like in your life. And so as we go through some of these things, I want you to be kind of putting yourself there. So just as you're listening right now, like what is this? What are you looking forward to in this season? What is it that you're feeling going from summer to fall? Is it a sense of excitement because of something that you're stepping into? Is it a sense of dread because of, oh man, school, and I'm a senior and I'm really struggling to have motivation? Like, what is it? And I remember being in college, like that coming to an end was harder than I thought it would be. It was exciting because I was like, oh yay, I'm done with college. I don't have the rigorous schedule. But you also kind of go out and you're like, these friendships are going to change dramatically and all these things. So what is it that you're feeling going into it? And then I think that is probably the best place to start, is just like, how am I feeling? What am I needing in these coming months? Thinking from today until the end of 2025, December 31st, like what do I really need in this period of time? And that's what this whole thing is about, is kind of helping you address your current reality and then actually think through, like, where do I want to be? Where do I feel God's leading me? And what do I need to do to get there? We always talk about kind of the pins on a map. You have the pin. What's the first pin, Megan? We talk about this all the time.
The first pin is you are here, right?
You are here. And so if you're looking at a map, if you're in the mall and you're trying to find, Spencer. No, just kidding.
You're trying to find.
I was trying to think of just a dumb.
What is like Annie?
Oh, Auntie Anne.
Yeah,
pretzel.
There it is.
Oh yeah, I want a pretzel so bad right now. You go to one of the big maps. The first thing you look for is not Auntie Anne's. You actually look for, where am I? Because once you know where you're at, you can figure out, okay, which direction do I need to go to get there? So the second pin is the place you're trying to go. So that's kind of what this whole thing is about, is placing your pins. And so that's what we're going to help you kind of do. But this is a big framework for this episode and for this whole idea, is that a new season demands a new rhythm. What does that mean to you? Or what do you think of?
Yeah, I think it means that rhythms can be fluid. And so with the new seasons come new expectations, come new opportunities, and your life is constantly evolving. And so it's constantly needing to be reevaluated. And, there might be seasons where, like, it's easier to get up early in the morning and, have a quiet time or do things like that. But there might be seasons where a job meeting gets put at 7 a.m. And so that's uprooting your morning routine. And so it's constantly being aware. And I think demanding a new rhythm means, if you, like, I think of the quote, if everything's important, then nothing's important.
Yeah.
Right. And so if a new season, if you try to maintain everything the way that it was, you might bite off more than you can chew, or you might not make the right things the most priority in your life in the next season.
Right. I think like an unintentional rhythm of summer that was good is that we slept in a lot later most days. Like, it was just a little less structured in the mornings, because school year, Kinsley was up at 7 and out the door by 7:30, and it was kind of like, we're into the day. And so the summer, where kids are sleeping in longer, I just realized, like, I have more time to myself in the mornings. So I don't have to get up at 6 every single morning. And maybe I should have kept doing it, because now I'm having a really hard time. But I think realizing that this next 4 months from now until the end of Christmas break for our kids, like, same thing. They're going to be up at 7, out the door by 7:30. And so if I kept my summer rhythms, I'm not going to feel myself. I'm going to feel rushed at all times. So that's just like a really practical one where I'm like, okay, that my sleep rhythms need to shift, moving into this new season, or even just some of my friendship rhythms, like just realizing like the unstructured aspect of a summer where I just see people more because we go golfing, or like those kind of built-in things are kind of going away. So I need more intentionality to kind of build those and maintain those. So yeah, think about that. What is, as you head into this fall, whether it's a big change or a little change, like what needs to change in your rhythm? So what's one rhythm, Megan, that has served you well this last season, but probably won't work for this next one?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, this is actually, so I got a gym membership at the start of the year, like everyone in the entire world, but I actually loved it and have really grown to love the gym. And something that I tried to do this summer was go to the gym in the morning before work, and I really enjoyed that. I'm a morning person. I liked having it out of the way. But with evaluating my new work schedule and what's coming ahead in the fall, that's just not going to be sustainable. And so my rhythm now has to shift to, when am I going to go to the gym? Is it going to be after work? Is it going to be every day? Or is it, what days does it work? And so that's one that I am in the process of evaluating. And part of the resources we'll talk about today is the ideal week. So that was trying to build it in of, okay, this is maybe where I liked it or where it worked well, but it won't work well now in this next season for at least the time being. And I think that's part of, you talked about like placing your pin, and the first one is you are here, and that's part of the growth plan, is evaluating your current reality. Yeah. So whether that's good or bad, this is, you lay it all on the table and you don't sugarcoat it. It's like, oh, I went to the gym. I think you've talked about this, but it's like, oh, I went to the gym 4 times a week. Well, it's like, what were you doing at the gym? And I think I had that. I feel
really called out right now.
No, sorry. Well, I feel like you've talked about this in your growth plan before.
I'm joking.
But I feel like I had
Shout out heat therapy.
Sauna, hot tub.
Trademark pending.
Yeah. But I feel like when I first started going to the gym, I did a lot of walking. I liked walking on the walking track at the gym, which is great. But was I getting stronger? Was I actually lifting weights? Nope. Was I getting to learn how to use the equipment? No. And so part of assessing your growth plan in this next season is being honest about where you're at and understanding, exactly how you envisioned this working out, but how did it actually play out in your life? Yeah.
So that current reality really kind of helps us figure that out, like figures out what is not working that needs to change. Or there's a couple of things for me that come to mind, because I've typically used some time on Sundays. Our rhythm at the church was 7 a.m. is like our rally, and then services start at 8:30. There's responsibilities for me anyways, like I'm in for sound check or whatever, but there was always 30-ish minutes where I didn't have a ton to do on a Sunday morning, like before everybody came and all that stuff. So I ended up doing kind of my weekly planning on Sunday mornings. I would sit at my desk and I would just kind of go like, what's coming this week? What do I need to prepare for? What meetings do I have? Who do I need to meet with? And I would kind of almost lay out that week. And I don't have that. Like, I just have realized that over the last couple of weeks, I don't have that built in, like, this is what I do in that time. So I need to kind of establish that. And then another one is, for the last 3 years, I've eaten lunch with my crew on Mondays, like every Monday. And that was something that we established here at the church a long time ago. It's optional, but it's Monday lunch, and it's not optional. Like, if you don't come, you're not noticed. Cool, Yeah. But the core of that, you, Ellie, Megan, Caleb, over the last several months, like in Autumn, I'm not trying to lead anybody out.
Everyone.
Tara, yeah, everybody was there. But it was really a huge part of my friendship rhythm. Like I had that time built in where it was just about connecting and just hanging out, having fun, telling random stories. It wasn't about work. It wasn't like super deep all the time. Sometimes it could be, but that's another one that I've realized, like, okay, that is not built in part of my structured rhythm. So I need that connection. Like I need that connection with friends. I need that just time where I can just be like off, you know? And so those are a couple things that come to mind for me. So let's just jump into this. So the growth plan kind of framework, this is something that comes from RSG, which is Ready, Set, Grow. It's something that we've done as a church. And then we've kind of, you and I have kind of adapted it. We've kind of said, okay, like this is how it can work in my life. And this is actually something fun. I mean, like Michael Hyatt, there's other leaders over the years that I've pulled these different things from. I don't even know who it was, but when I led the Chi Alpha internship, we called it the dashboard, and it was stolen from somewhere else. So all this stuff is kind of compiled. We're kind of working out our own framework right now, but this is part of where we come from with this. And so the growth plan is essentially you take your life areas, your kind of buckets of life, and you write them out. So this is your physical health, emotional health, financial health, spiritual health, your marriage, friendship, work, whatever kind of those life areas are. And then the next part of this, and I'm just giving a refresh. We have episodes on this. We can link that. I don't remember what number it is, but there's an episode about growth plan. So an intentional living. So go to that one. But then you go to your current reality. So you take those life areas and you say, what is my current reality? And that's just like a statement, you know, this is what is true about my life today. And then you write an envisioned future. And so you write it from 3-4 months down the road. So I was writing it from like December 31st. And I write it as present tense just to kind of paint the picture of what this area can look like. So this isn't like an idealistic version where everything has to be perfect to be there. This is like from where I'm now in 4 months, I can be here realistically. And then the next part is our goals and rhythms. So we really talk about what are we going to do? How do we get from pin A to pin B? What's the path that gets us there? What's 1 or 2 rhythms? What's a goal that we can set? And then your growth team. So that's kind of the framework that we're going to be talking about a little bit more over the next 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For you, when you're looking at your growth plan over this last couple months, what was an area that you felt super strong in, that you feel like you can keep that sustainable while you maybe shift your focus to a different area?
Marriage and parenting. So those are 2 buckets, but not that everything's perfect in those and like I'm a perfect husband and parent or that we have a perfect marriage, but I feel like we've talked about it many times, but the monthly marriage meeting that we started in January has been such a game changer for us because it's allowed us to be on this. I feel like the things that were hardest for us were just having like built-in connection. So we'd feel like we drift a little bit. We'd feel like we're not, on the same page emotionally. But then also calendar wise, like our life tends to, in a good way, be busy. Like, it's full, like our kids are getting older. They're involved in things. We love that. Church and like friendship, all that stuff. But sometimes somebody would hurt each other's feelings because we'd be like, oh, I was going to do this and you have that. Like, how are we going to do that? And one of us has to like take the L, it feels like. So there's a lot of times where we just were not crossing or that wires were crossed and all that stuff. And so I feel like since January, just having that built in, one of the things we do is we schedule our date nights. We're going on 3 dates a month. We just feel like we're closer and just having a lot of fun. And that kind of has overflowed into parenting. There's been hard moments and all that stuff too. But at the same time, just like we feel like we're in a good place where we feel like we're handling discipline the best we can and we're connected to our kids. So that's an area that I feel like is really strong right now. An area that I feel is weak right now is our financial life. I just feel like with all the change, I just realized, man, I don't feel like I have my bearings on this. Like, I don't feel like we're overspending, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I thought I would have more at the end of the month. And so I think that's just one of those that as I was going through this, I was just kind of reflecting on a little bit. Anything jump out for you?
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm not super proud of where my growth plan is right now, but I think that has also shown me that, best intention is without action is still no progress, right? Yeah. And so I think that's where, but one that I'm like, I really like is my physical health. Like I talked about, like I actually do go to the gym several times a week and I enjoy it and I look forward to it. And that was something that I couldn't say, a couple months ago or anything like that. And so that's been one that's just been nice to actually feel like I'm investing in. And there's a couple days ago, or maybe it was last week, and I had made plans to go to the gym, but it was downpouring here, and I was like, man, all I want to do is just go home and be home after work. And so I like fully talked myself out of it. But I'm driving home and I'm passing the gym, and I was like, if I don't go to the gym, I'm going to feel so like just annoyed that I didn't go and that I didn't hold to the word that I had made or like committed to myself. And so I went to the gym and I did feel better about it. And so there is part of that too of like it has become something that I look forward to and it has become a discipline. I think for me, one that it'll be a focus area this next season as well, but just the personal health too. I think especially as a young adult, I think that this is more common than we realize, but when you're in a job, it's just new. You've had, especially coming from college, you're not relied on 8 hours a day straight. And, it's just different. And so I think I've gone through evaluating, okay, this is a full-time job. This is my life. Like I'm living my life right now. And so what are the boundaries that I can put in place? Who am I outside of work has been a big question that I've been asking of just, like what I don't want at the end of my day when someone asks how it is to only be about my job. And so what else do I have that, what hobbies am I interested in? What friends am I hanging out with? Just like what am I cultivating outside of an 8-hour day? And so that one is stemming from something that like wasn't going well, but now has really made me reflect on, okay, I have other hours in the day that I am a whole person. So what am I doing with those?
No, that's good. I feel like, one of the things that doing this is kind of a reset, it does bring those things to the surface. And so, if you're listening today, like, and you're like, how do they know this? Like this is how we know this. Like this is, and again, it's taken time for it to become more natural to me, I guess, but just these built-in kind of rhythms of, like there's daily rhythms, like reading your Bible. There's weekly rhythms like Sabbath or lunch with a friend. And then there's monthly or kind of these seasonal ones where they're just built in. They're built into the structure of my life, into your life. And they give us the chance. And the findings aren't always great, but that's the beauty of it is that I think I used to coast. Like I used to just kind of like I would go from summer to fall without even thinking. Like I would just get caught into the motion of everything that the fall is, whether that was when I was at the church or Chi Alpha or wherever I was working or doing. And I would just kind of go, it was a very like brutal, like, transition because I didn't take the time to kind of, like slow down around the curve a little bit because that it can feel like a big curve. There's this, when we drive to Bismarck, there's always this road where you're going like 55 and then it's literally like a really tight circle. And sometimes if I haven't driven it in a long time, I'll catch myself like, oh, we are flying around a corner. And that's how I felt going into every change of a season was just like, I am flying around the corner right now. I feel a little out of control. And so I think that's why we're doing this. And so for me, like, as I was going through this, we're just going to walk through a couple of our examples because I think this kind of gives you an opportunity to hear it of what it's like for us. So we go through all of these life areas. So we're not just kind of talking about the highs and lows. This is why I feel like it gives us such a good overview of life and where we're at for better or for worse. But for physical health, my current reality is that I'm currently running 3 to 4 times each week. That's pretty crazy. And I've run over 25 miles since the start of July. I am stretching more, eating healthier, and I'm more consistent in the gym than any time over the last several years. This is probably a green area other than the fact that I skip lunch all the time. So we'll get there. envision future. I continue to run 3 to 4 times per week, 5 miles per week. I am prepping to run a 10K sometime in the spring. I meal prep and eat breakfast and lunch every day. So that's like December 31st. What I want to be my true false statement is I'm eating breakfast and lunch every day. That's the thing that I will bypass when I get busy, especially lunch. Like I do enjoy work, and I've enjoyed my work, whether that was with AO1 or the church or Chi Alpha or now. Like I've enjoyed what I do, and I can just do it, And so I don't always take the time to go. And now I'm literally working from home, and I haven't been going upstairs to my kitchen to figure out lunch. Like I used to be like, I don't want to go out to eat today. I didn't bring anything. Like now I'm like, literally, I have no excuse. But that's kind of part of that. So that informs. So you have your current reality, pin A, pin B, envision future. So how am I going to get there? This is kind of what I wrote for some rhythms. The weekly workout at the gym, like 3 times. Weekly meal prep. I just need to start doing that again, of just prepping lunches and pre-packing them. I think doing that on like a Sunday afternoon will probably be the new game plan. And then a goal would be running the 5 miles each week, or going to the gym 2 or 3 times per week. But that's just some of the things that I'm thinking about of how do I get from my current reality to the envisioned future? What's one that kind of stands out? And it could be a random one or whichever one.
For myself and my growth plan. Yeah. The one that it's also going to be one of my focus areas is spiritual health. So my current reality is I read my Bible 2 or 3 times a week, but I rarely journal as well. I do not practice an intentional Sabbath, and prayer has been strong, but sometimes overcompensated by the lack of reading my Bible. And so, going on a lot of prayer walks, but getting into scripture hasn't been consistent. So then that's current reality. Envision future is I'm daily consistent in the Bible and prayer. I prioritize my spiritual health above all else, and I have a planned and lived out plan for Sabbath weekly. I read books to foster spiritual growth regularly. So that's what I hope to be true on December 31st. And then the goals that get me there, I'm going to try this. I'm making myself an incentive chart. So I am.
You're going to give yourself stickers?
Yes, I'm kindergarten leveling myself with my spiritual health. But I think it might work. So I'm going to make after 7 days, maybe not in a row, of intentional quiet time spent with the Lord, I'll reward myself with something, whether that's getting coffee or buying a book that's on my list, or getting ice cream, hanging out with a friend, some sort of incentive. And then I take time each week to prioritize a plan for Friday Sabbath. And then other part of that is no screens after 9 p.m. And so that's been a goal of mine for to just limit my screen time and hopefully gain some healthy rhythms. Some of my healthiest seasons of life have been when I've had intentional boundaries around my phone, around screen time. And so that is another just boundary and rhythm that I want to set, because if I can, stop scrolling or turn off my phone, set my alarm by 9 p.m., that gives me about an hour to do something else, to read, to do quiet time, to something like that. And so I think that providing that goal will be helpful to inform the rest of it.
That's good. I feel like, again, we go through all these areas, and, so just one, like for me, that is a green. So when we do this, green, yellow, red. Green is it's good. Yellow, it's just it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Red is it's not good. So sometimes one of the next steps is to take 2 or 3 of these areas and make them a priority over these next 4 months. And that doesn't mean you neglect the other ones. So I believe that marriage and parenting can still be green. It's not like that one will go from green to yellow naturally, but one of my focus areas is my creative writing and business. That is something that I've called a green because I just feel like I have dedicated time to it. I finished the book. Now we're just kind of waiting on the edits and all that stuff. But it's a focus area because we're trying to get this book launched. I'm trying to kind of get on the ground with some of the other projects and things that will kind of be core. So there's a lot that I want to establish right now in that. So even though it's really good, I still need to kind of work through it. So I'm not going to read all of it, but part of the current reality, I have a fresh wind behind my sails. I was able to do some things over the last 2 weeks that I've wanted to do for several years. Like if you subscribe to my newsletter, my weekly email, I rewrote the welcome sequence. So the emails that come out over the next week or so, they are just like up to date and they're exciting and fun. So
congrats.
Thank you. I feel like my default is to work on projects even when I shouldn't though. So that's what I was talking about. I don't know if I'm working on the right things all the time. And so I get really excited about something, but then I just move things down the road that maybe aren't ready to be moved down the road. So overall, I'm lacking clear focus and direction. And then envisioned future, I'm publishing a newsletter and podcast consistently every week. I have the next steps in place for book publishing. I prioritize the right work each week. And then it goes on, but I moved to the goals and to the rhythm. So one of the rhythms is a deep focus hour 2 to 3 times per week, where it's just like, this is not just deep work, but it's also what am I focusing on? And along with that, it was a weekly kind of planning of like, what is the most strategic thing that I can do? Because right now, like the work that I'm doing with Valley, it's full time. So it's not like I have, 40 hours a week to do this stuff. It's just a little bit more accessible, flexible. During the day, I have pockets of time that I can work on it. But at the same time, it's only a few hours that are really dedicated to that. So how do I want to spend those? So, and I have a ton of goals in this area because of the amount of stuff that we want to get rolling in these next 4 months. We really see these next 4 months as being pivotal for a lot of things. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, but that's like a green area. The red area of finances is one where it's a little bit different. The current reality was just more on the uncertainty side. We're losing insurance and we're all fully self-employed tax other than the little bit that Taylor gets from her job, but Taylor's cleaning business and everything that I'm doing is all self-employed tax. So there's just uncertainty of how much should we be saving for taxes and how much is insurance gonna when the change happens, and so there's some uncertainty there. So the envisioned future is a lot to do with just having certainty, and we have a plan and we're confident. And so something that we kind of drift in and out of is our budget, and so that's like a core rhythm for this next season is like we need to budget, we need to know exactly where our money is going and when it's going. That's maybe something that we've taken for granted because we get paychecks and they're very consistent. Now it's going to be a little less consistent. And so we might need to restructure like when we pay certain bills and all that stuff based on when we get paid. So that's probably one of the biggest areas that is like, okay, I need to add intentional focus on this one for these next few months here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super good. I think that's good to highlight too, that just because something is a green area doesn't mean it can't also still continue to be a focus area too. Of like you are in a season where this does need to be one of the front runners of your focus and your time and rhythms. And so I think that's important too, because I think sometimes we can get discouraged by like, oh, I wish that was better. But it might just be you're in a season where that is going to be hard to prioritize and it's going to have to wait, and that's okay. And that's why I also think that we review these periodically 3 or 4 times a year. And so you do get a natural, okay, is there space now where I feel like these are sustained and operating well, I can move on to this next one. And so not feeling like you'll never get to another area if something has to continue to be a focus area in your new season on your new growth plan.
Right.
As I think that's how I always thought of it originally when we first started it.
Yeah, we had that conversation last time we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think, just realizing that like it's okay to be confident in the areas that you're choosing as long as they are the right prioritized areas.
And I think that's one of the biggest things to do with this is like, as you're listening to this, it's going through this, taking the time, give yourself an hour. Like this 1 hour of time can really be impactful. Like I did this a little bit yesterday, and then I finished last night after our kids went to bed. And it just, again, there were some of these things that I was thinking about and writing about that I hadn't even put words to. Like I hadn't taken the time to put words of how I'm feeling in relation to my work or in relation to my friendship. That was probably a big one of just like, I have good friends and I have close friends, but I don't have a cadence with any of them. Like there's no, like other than my life group, I will say that like those guys have become really close to me. So, but there's some guys that I've just wanted to get closer with, but I've never taken the actions. And that was just like a reality thing from last night. But I wouldn't have had that, I don't think, if I wouldn't have created the space for it. So just give yourself an hour. We're going to incentivize it because we have the book Atomic Habits, which is really helpful. And we also have a Starbucks gift card. And the way you can be eligible to win this is by filling out your growth plan and DMing us on Instagram, goingsomewhere.podcast. And it could be a picture of it, or it could just be hey, it's done. We may fact check it or not, but just let us know that you're doing this, that you did this, and you can win a book and some Starbucks. Who doesn't want a $20 gift card to Starbucks?
No one, I think. I think everyone wants that.
You know, and if you would rather a different coffee shop, I can wait to buy it. I don't even have to buy it yet. Mm-hmm. I can get whatever coffee shop you want, as long as it can be digitally transferred. But like we want you to do this, and by doing it, the biggest thing that we want you to walk away with is a little bit more clarity, but also some priorities of like, okay, going into these next few months, these 2 or 3 areas are going to get more energy and effort. So again, just to reiterate your point, marriage and family for me, it's not that so my 3 that I identified for this next kind of few months is financial health, work, and my creative work. So like my valley work and my creative work, because I really want to be successful in those. And I really want to establish kind of the systems and framework, and so that as we move into the new year, that I already have that built out, so I can just kind of get into a rhythm. Like I know that this next few months is going to be finding that rhythm with those things. And then financial is just because it's a red area, and it's an area that we need to, with all the transition and change. I had marriage and family and spiritual health as one of these priorities for many, many months and even years. There was a time where parenting was yellow and marriage was red. Like and it wasn't like we were falling apart. It was just like, man, we're not intentional. We don't have our date nights. We hadn't had a date in 3 months. So I gave it a red not because we didn't like each other or anything like that. It was just, we just kept missing. So the fact that those are green now is a testament to that focus and that priority. And it doesn't mean I'm putting work or creative over those things. Those things are still in their rightful place in the pecking order of Jesus, family, and then those things. It's just what I'm being intentional about is changing. Those rhythms are established. They're moving forward. Those are going to keep moving forward. So now I'm kind of establishing new things for this next season. So what are those priority areas for you? And I don't know, I was just thinking, I think for some people this can feel maybe overwhelming in general, but also like we're stepping into a season where it feels pretty exciting, and like the changes are ones that like, okay, we have more time as a family. We, I have a little bit more flexibility in when I do what and all of those things. But for other times, and I remember being in college, like this going from summer to fall felt like hitting a brick wall because okay, I have to be at this place at 8 a.m. and I work this shift from this time to this time. When am I going to do homework? When am I going to hang out with my friends? So I think sometimes it can feel challenging moving into a new season. I think it can feel like when you have your current reality and you realize like, okay, this is going to be a tough season. Like there's a lot on my plate. There's a lot going on. I think having these priorities, having this idea of like, what is it that I need to focus on, is really important, because if you know that work is going to be really busy, like what needs to be a focus in your life? It's probably your spiritual health. It's probably your emotional health. It's probably your relational health and stuff. And so having that kind of like gearing up for it and being like, hey, I'm going to be working more hours. I'm going to be doing less of the things that I want to do. So I need to focus on these things. So any notes or comments on that?
Yeah, I feel like, like you just said, it sounds overwhelming. And I think I have felt overwhelmed doing it the first time, but I also felt overwhelmed doing it for the 100th time now, like it's hard to be intentional and look ahead when you're reading your current reality. But I think just for the person listening that's like, man, why are they just hitting this so hard? I think it's because we've seen it work. And like your marriage goal is a testament to that. My financial goal is a testament to that. And I think we've just proved its success in our life. And so I think our heart is really just to give you some handles to help you, because this has really, really helped us in maintaining intentionality and keeping priorities in their rightful places. And it does work. It just takes time, and it takes the commitment and the discipline that we've talked about in last week's episode too, of deciding, that I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to focus in, and I'm going to be intentional, and I'm going to choose that my current reality isn't the same as my envisioned future, And so I just wanted to leave someone with that too, because I think like it can feel overwhelming, and you might end this podcast and totally forget about it, but we really don't want you to, because it has really impacted us personally, and we know that it would help you in whatever season that you're going into this fall.
Yep. Yeah. And so challenge for you, if you've done this in the past, when we've talked about it in the past, go back to your other one. And the best place to start is by reading your envisioned futures from the past, and just give yourself a true or false, because that'll help you understand where you were coming from. And then you can go through it. You look at those areas, current reality, envisioned future, rhythms, goals. And then make sure you do the team, bring people into this. It could be a person or two kind of in a lot of areas. So one of the things that I realized is that, I need to kind of establish this again. Like some of the built-in rhythms and things in the past season aren't there anymore. So I have to kind of reevaluate who is my team for these different areas. Like one of them is just somebody that got really busy. So somebody that was a core for probably 2 years of my growth team, just our frequency of being able to meet together just changed tremendously because of work and different things. So I just have to kind of reevaluate who I'm bringing with me and sharing these things with them. I feel like sharing the current reality, sharing the envisioned future, sharing the goals and rhythms can really help kind of lock those in. And also that person can really encourage you through those things. So over the next 7 days, so this episode's coming out on Monday, August 18th. By August 25th, if you share with us in your DMs, you'll be eligible to win a Starbucks or coffee gift card and the book Atomic Habits. We just want to see you win in this area. And we know that this is a way that you can do that. But wrapping up, what are a few questions you want to ask the listener today?
Yeah. So I'd encourage you, reflect on what's your current reality, get honest, get real, and where do you want to be by December 31st? So we're looking at the end of the year. What do you want to say 2025 was like? And then who's coming with you? So who's keeping you accountable? Who are you inviting in? Like you said, who's going to hear the current reality and the envisioned future and actually hold you accountable to it?
Awesome. So yeah, take those to heart, step into that. Just a little recap. New season demands a new rhythm. So as you step into this fall, you go from summer to fall, that's going to mean something different for everybody. But think through what things that worked in the past won't work. What do I need for this season? I think that's one of the biggest questions that you can ask is when you look from August 18th to December 31st, what do I need? What are 2 or 3 rhythms that I need to establish in the season to be healthy? And so again, for us, like a couple of those would be that budget and sticking to that budget. For another one would be having that plan of how I prioritize the projects and things that I want to do. So those are a couple of those things that I need in order for this next season to be to be healthy. So download the growth plan guide. We have it in the show notes. That'll give you kind of the template. There's instructions there. All you have to do is you have to go to that. You make a copy of it for yourself. And then you can kind of work through that. And you can also work through the ideal week. We didn't get to that today, but after you establish the rhythms and goals, you actually put them on your calendar. So like, when am I going to do that? So going through my ideal week, I was planning out when I'm spending time with Lord, when I have the capacity for friendship, when I'm going to do that weekly planning meeting. All those things have their place on the calendar. And so fill it out, complete it, and share one of those takeaways with us on Instagram, goingsomewhere.podcast. Win. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, we love you. Thanks for listening.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.